What is going on, guys? Christian from the Lay and Pray MMA podcast, joined by Jeffrey. No Trenton this week, but got Jeffrey here. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, dude?
Sorry that we haven't put out a podcast recently. Jeffrey, you've been traveling again. Seems like it's never ending. School started back up for you. And then,
yep.
yeah. And then Trenton is having a lot of technical issues because technology is not his friend. So we're
also dumb.
Yeah, that too. He ripped one of his wires out of his computer on accident, and so he's got to wait to get a new mic. So hopefully next week he'll be back. But if not, we'll do a couple episodes without him. This is episode 15. One of the big talking points for this episode, we're just going to talk about UFC 265 and those fights. Obviously, it's been a couple weeks. So, I mean, obviously, we're going to be talking about stuff from a couple weeks back, but I mean, that was our most recent episode. So, what are you going to do? Another thing, we're going to just kind of go over some of the fights that are happening on Saturday. Thank you, love. I've got rhubarb crisp.
Nice.
Yeah, look at that. Oh yeah.
Dang.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about. I'm just gonna leave this in the camera. Hot as fuck.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not. I don't think we need to go into like full detail on. I mean, I think the main card is probably our best bet for the fights on Saturday, just because I looked at the prelims and I was like, I really don't know anybody.
I did the same.
I guess how you been, buddy?
Dude, pretty good, man. Just
How's Vegas?
just busy.
Or how is Nevada?
It's on fire, the entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, dude, glad to be done with that shit.
But yeah, so the way that they kind of broke down after the last fights or the last fight card. So Trenton ended up picking all of his fights correct. He was 100% on his fights. He went 9 for 9. I went 6-3, and then I think you went 1-8 or 2-7.
1-8 or 2-7.
Yeah.
Like
so right now I'm sitting at 30-22. Trenton's at 31-21, so I'm one behind him, and then Jeffrey, you're sitting at 22-30 overall. So obviously, shit can change. All it takes is one fight card like Trenton had, and you're right back in the swing of things.
Yeah, that was a crazy one.
I know. So I guess let's talk about. Well, first off, do you have anything that you want to talk about besides UFC 265? Anything recently that you've seen that you?
No, not that I know of, man. It's been pretty quiet, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we'll get it started off. Carolina Kowalkiewicz versus Jessica Pine. Carolina was doing really good on the feet in that fight. And then Jessica Pine went to the ground. And then basically it was like, all right, you want to come to the ground with me? And Carolina, who, I mean, I don't really think she's known for a ground game, ended up getting, baited into going to the ground with her and then got submitted. And for Carolina, this is where I think she needs to figure out what she wants to do, whether she wants to keep fighting or not, because I think she's won one fight out of her last like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So that's like what we were discussing. I was like, she needs to figure out, like, if she doesn't win this fight, then she needs to go do bare knuckle or do something or go model something that, she could still make good money doing. And, if she wants to keep fighting, I just don't think the UFC is the place for her, because obviously she had her moment when she went, 5 rounds with Joanna. That was like her moment in the sun. So I don't think she's got it anymore, personally.
Yeah. That was a weird. That's one of the most dramatic falls from like a title fight that we may have ever seen. You
Yeah.
know, like that's fucking crazy, dude. Like 1-7 or 1-6.
Yeah.
Like fuck, and you know, and she went in 5 rounds. She didn't look like shit.
No.
What the fuck, you know?
I mean, I didn't
But
think she won that fight with Joanna, but I also didn't think that she got completely outclassed either.
yeah, this one was. Uh, I mean, I think that chick's in her own head, you know, because I mean,
Mhm.
it was very weird watching that fight go down. You're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
You
I was.
know, like
I was like,
I'm not real sure what the fuck what your objective is here. You know,
I
like
know.
this is not what you want. What are we doing? You
Yeah,
know, so it's like it's really hard when you're looking back on these and then like you're trying to pick fights, but you're like you look at past history and you're like, we've never seen her do anything that she just did right there. And you know, that's one of those things is you're like, dude, maybe it's just in her head and it's over, you know?
yeah. Well, I mean, she posted a video and she was just like bawling her eyes out, and like unsure, if she still has it. And it's like, if that's how you feel, then you should just hang them up or go do something else.
Well, go get rejuvenated. And you've seen some people take breaks, you know, and we kind of border on the same subjects when we're on these podcasts. So it's hard to remember, you know, like if you've talked about it before, but like you've seen people champion status, you know, like fall off, and then all of a sudden they fucking come back and there's another massive run. Like Robbie Lawler and
Glover
like
Teixeira
Glover Teixeira, right? Like they fall off and you're like, oh, this dude's over. And then
gets
when you ride him
starched
out,
by Rumble in like 13
yeah.
seconds, gets uppercutted to
Yeah.
oblivion by Alexander. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So you know, it's one of those things like talent wise, I'm sure she has it because you just don't get to that level and look like shit for so long, and then they still sign you
I
to
know.
extensions if you don't have that talent, you know. So it's definitely not that. I don't know what it is, but I think that was probably her last fight in the UFC. Maybe she clears her head, and maybe we see her back sometime in the future. Who knows? You know. I
I
mean,
don't
I don't
think
know.
so. I think she's like 34, 35. So I don't think she will be. Just
Yeah.
if she was smart, she would go to bare knuckle or, like I said, model. So that's my 2 cents personally, because after her fight with Joanna, she fought Jessica Andrade and got starched,
Mm-hmm.
like legitimately starched. So I just think she's not her mindset isn't like, she lost it. I don't think she has it anymore. And it's hard for older fighters to get that back. I mean, obviously there's the rare occasions with, like you said, Robbie Lawler, uh, Glover Teixeira, but those are very few and far between,
Yeah,
I
those
mean,
are the
those
exception
are
to the rule. You know,
those are
you
literally,
can't count on that.
I'm sure there's probably a handful of guys that out of the 500 or 600 fighters that are signed with the UFC. So that's literally a sliver. That's less than
Yeah,
1%.
and you see it happen like where even some of the greatest of all time, like they can't get over that hill after you
No,
lose so many fights. Like it's not. It just becomes part of the game. You know
it's
what I mean? Like
self-doubt.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like look
Yeah.
at BJ Penn. You remember like
Fuck.
BJ Penn like didn't win a fight for like fucking 8 years or some shit, you
It
know?
was a long time because he lost to Frankie Edgar 3 times in a row.
It's just
So
like, yeah, I mean, wish her luck, you know, but probably not.
yeah, I don't want her to fight anymore, just because it wouldn't do her any good because she's not performing. So all right, sorry for those of you that are watching on YouTube, because I just had to annihilate that rhubarb crisp. It's like my favorite dessert of all time.
I don't even know what the fuck rhubarb is, dude.
Rhubarb is, you've never heard of rhubarb,
No, I've heard of it before, and
but you've never had it.
I've seen it referenced, and I've seen it in like diners and shit, but I don't even know what the fuck it is. Is it a fruit?
It's, I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, but what's
It's
rhubarb?
fucking, it's holy. Don't worry. That's all you need to know.
What? Yeah, but what is
It's
it? Though?
it's like
Is it a fruit?
I would say it's like a weed. It's like
Oh hell yeah, dude! Fucking
not
yeah,
weed.
dude. Kale pie.
It's
Fuck
like
yeah,
a
dude.
weed. um, but you can cook it and make like jams and jellies and like there's like you could use it for like medicinal purposes.
Yeah, but what's rhubarb taste like? Is it sweet? Is it taste like a fruit, or does it taste like a?
No, it does taste like a fruit, but like rhubarb by itself, you want to if you're gonna eat it, you want to mix it with something like sugary because it's either it's like very tart.
Yeah,
So like when you bite it, it's so sour.
makes
But
sense.
yeah, that's why you mix it with a crisp with oatmeal, brown sugar,
Hell
whipped
yeah.
cream.
Fucking people listening didn't know they were getting a fucking
Getting
cooking
food porn,
show, dude.
Yeah, they're getting
yeah.
fucking food porn tonight.
Hell yeah.
All right, the next fight up was Alonzo Menifield versus Ed Herman, and I honestly thought Alonzo Menifield. Well, what we had talked about, one of the things that you brought up because you went with Ed Herman in this fight is because Ed Herman has gone the distance more than a handful of times. Most of his fights are decisions. But he was on a roll there for a while. So like all your picks that like I was thinking like that's not a bad pick. And if all it takes is one mistake. Well, Alonzo Menifield like kept trying to just throw punches to knock his ass out. And it wasn't working. And he was swinging himself tired. And then finally, he started throwing those. Well, in the first and the second rounds, those leg kicks were really hitting harder, the calf kicks. And I mean, at one point, he knocked Ed Herman off of his feet completely on one of those kicks. So he was able to, pull himself, bring himself back and realize, I'm going to outstrike myself and I'm going to get myself so freaking tired. But he was able to, withstand the storm and, didn't gas out, which was a big surprise because guys like that are built like that, they gas out quickly.
Yeah. Well, I think this fight, like, this is one of those fights that Menifield learns from, even though he won, I think you take lessons from this where you realize, like, okay, I'm in phenomenal shape, but I still have to learn a pace. I still have to learn, like how to stretch my legs and make it last 3 rounds. And then eventually, if I can master that, then I have to master the 5 round, but like your goal, like these guys he hasn't mastered the 3 round like cardio game yet, and we knew, look, dude, like when I pick, like I went like 2-7, but we talked about it a little bit before we got on where it's like, I really didn't know, like, I knew of the fighters, but goddamn, it was so close to me. Like it was a toss up. So, why not try to make up some some wins on you guys on fights that I think are so close. So it's not like I thought Ed Herman was win, but I picked Ed Herman to win with the one opportunity that I thought that he could take to win,
Yeah.
But Menifield looked good, dude. I mean, he looked fucking solid. He's a stud, man. And he did what he had to do with Herman, and Herman made it kind of dirty. You know what I mean? Like he drug it out and he had some opportunities, but he just
the fact that he was able to stand in that 3rd round, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So kudos to Menifield, dude. Like he's gonna get a good fight next.
Hopefully, because I mean, when you look at him, like he doesn't have very much fight experience, but I mean, he's 33. So, if he's going to get a push, it's got to be within the next year.
Yeah.
So, in the bantamweight division, Vince Morales versus Draco Rodriguez. Vince Morales was able to get the decision win. Draco had more takedowns, but he didn't really utilize, he wasn't able to utilize anything with those takedowns. He didn't put Vince in a dangerous enough position. Like it was, for me, it wasn't a really all that exciting fight. I mean, Vince Morales did enough to get the win. So I didn't have any issues with it. I don't think there was any fights except, I guess in terms of scoring, because there's always going to be one, with me, there's always going to be one fight that I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, this fight, there wasn't anything that really stood out. It wasn't all that exciting. It was just a fight. So
That's exactly what I was gonna say too. It was a fight. You know what I mean? Like nothing special, not good, not bad, just a fight that went 3 rounds, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the headline of the preliminary card, which was also the fight of the night, was Bobby Green versus Rafael Fiziev. This was the fight only this because one of the judges had scored it 3 rounds for Rafael, but I felt like Bobby Green, like I felt Rafael won the fight. But what I messaged you guys is like I thought like Bobby Green could have won that fight because it was kind of a toss up in the second round. Like for me, Rafael dealt a lot of damage, but Bobby Green threw a higher volume of strikes and was, he wasn't hurt at all. He was still pushing the pace and he was still coming forward. And then that third round, I felt like Bobby Green had won that round, but one of the judges had scored it for 3 rounds for Rafael Fiziev. And I was like, oh, I guess, sure, okay. I mean, no matter what, the guy that I picked won, but I still felt like Bobby Green had done enough to at least get some nods and not get a unanimously decision on one judge's scorecard.
I think that Bobby Green made it a better fight than it should have been.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I don't even have a problem with them not scoring a round for him. Like he made him very close and competitive. I think
Yeah.
it was the third round that was like that shit was fun, man.
Yeah.
Like they were fucking throwing and shit and talking, like that shit was fun. Um yeah, but I didn't fight was fucking fun for me. Fiziev's fucking cool, dude. Like that he's a fucking fun little fighter, dude. Like he's
Yeah.
fucking fun to watch.
He
And
trains with
Bobby,
Peter Yan.
yeah, and Bobby Green fucking like he showed up, dude.
Yeah.
He looked pretty fucking good. Like, say whatever you want about Bobby Green and his record and shit like that, but Bobby Green showed the fuck up. Like
Yeah.
Fiziev's not a joke.
Well, you
And
look
they
at
put
who
on a
he's
show.
fought. You look at who Bobby Green's fought. I mean, he's fought some of the top guys in the lightweight division. So he just fought them before they were super relevant in the division.
Right.
So, yeah, I was happy with the fight. I was, because I picked Fiziev to win, but
Shout
and
out to my
I
only
felt
win.
like he had won. Like I felt like he had won
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
2 rounds anyways, but I felt like Bobby Green had at least won the third. To kick off the main card in the bantamweight division, it was Casey Kenny, who was coming off of a fight with Dominic Cruz in his last outing, and then Song Yadong. And Song Yadong came out and he looked fantastic. He looked really good in the fight. I think I thought Casey Kenny was like surprised that his reaction at the end was like he was surprised that he didn't get picked to win. It's like, but when you look at it, what did he do?
Yeah, you got worked.
Yeah. What did you do to
I'm not saying that he beat the shit out of you, but you got worked on in that fight,
I mean, the only thing that he really did better was he got a takedown in that fight. But other than that, it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, Song Yadong's fucking wrestling has gotten so much better.
Alpha male, like you said,
And
being an alpha male.
shout out to the fucking podcast for fucking just, for like just a little note, like side note. Hey man, if his wrestling's got better, he's gonna be very hard to beat.
Mhm.
And then comes out here against a fucking dude that loves to wrestle and shit like that and just puts on a fucking clinic, man. It was fucking it's great. He looked fantastic. Dude, he looked great. Yeah, like he's gonna get a good fight.
I'm interested to see who in the top 10 because the bantamweight division, or I would love to see like Song Yadong versus like Sean O'Malley. I think that would be a fun fight.
That would be a great fight. It's gonna stay striking.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be a banger. I'm down with that fight.
Yeah. And then if it does go to a ground game, I mean, Sean O'Malley, while he was doing his suspension, he worked on jiu-jitsu a lot, did a lot of grappling competitions and stuff. And so if it were to go to the ground, it'd be interesting because we haven't really gotten to see Sean's ground game at all.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a stand-up, obviously. He's really good at that.
Yeah.
But
Well, it'd be a good challenge because Yadong is strong on the ground, but not overwhelming.
yeah,
So if he can, if he can take that and take care of that, then maybe he can stand up to some of the other guys. But for Song Yadong, dude, you jump at that opportunity for a popular fighter like O'Malley. Like
yeah,
he might not have that fucking ranking, but that name is gonna,
yeah. It'll put
it's
you on the
big.
map, especially. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Cheeto Vera.
Yeah.
Marlon Vera, he's got boosted up in the top 10, and he's got a main event slot on a card and had fight of the night with Davey Grant, and it was all because he beat Sean O'Malley. So
Yeah. Yeah, Yodong looked good, man. Congrats to him because
yeah,
that was impressive, dude. I didn't expect him to come out and dominate like that, really.
no, he looked good. In the strawweight division, Tisha Torres versus Angela Hill. For me, I really thought Angela Hill could put it together, but she is just too hit or miss. And Tisha Torres, like Trenton was right, Tisha Torres has fought the cream of the crop in that division. And those are really her only losses are to people that have been the champ or have become the champ. And I've never seen her look that impressive. And she looks super good against Angela Hill. Her wrestling looked good. Her top game was good. So kudos to her. And Angela Hill I hope this isn't, the start of an up and down roller coaster like she has been on.
I
But
mean, she's
I think that's just the type of fighter she is.
yeah, she's 13-10. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like that's about as up and down as you can get and still be in the UFC.
Yeah.
Like, you know, um,
After
dude,
Conor
Tisha
McGregor.
Torres looked fucking great. Look, dude, Angela Hill is one of those stories that she's just one of those people, one of those many names that you've heard that you're like, this person's gonna be a fucking savage. The future champion right here.
Yeah.
And then they just never fucking put it together ever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And she can write her fucking name firmly upon that list because that's where she is to me.
Yeah.
You know, kudos to Tisha Torres. She made it personal, dude. She pulled some Michael Jordan shit and fucking took some that Angela Hill said,
I took that personal.
and it was personal, and like she was not even fucking shitting on her.
Yeah.
She's just but
Well,
anyways,
her wrestling was just like, I mean, that's the biggest thing is that I said in our preview and prediction was
yeah.
if Angela Hill can be the distance striker, because I feel like she is the better striker overall, but Tisha Torres brought it because Tisha was the one that pushed the pace and got into the boxing range and then got takedowns.
If you're Angela Hill, you should be absolutely fucking ashamed that you allowed her to get that close into you, to throw punches, to throw kicks, to shoot. Like, you're so much bigger. That shit is disgusting. That should never happen,
I mean,
Like,
Angela got takedowns of her own too, but it wasn't. I mean, she didn't do anything with it. That's the problem.
But if you're getting taken down like that, against smaller fighters and fight, like, I don't know, man. Maybe I just have high standards for Angela Hill because we expected so much.
Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. The fight that lasted 3.5 minutes, but it was scramble. Michael Maverick Chiesa versus Vicente Luque. Yeah, I honestly thought that this was the fight that I was like, you know what, I'm like super torn. I was super torn on this one because I thought, Michael Chiesa, he hadn't lost a fight since coming into the welterweight division, and he had beaten some top guys like Neil Magny and Rafael dos Anjos. So, but Vicente Luque is coming off of a great performance against Tyron Woodley. So I was like, dude, I don't know. This could be a tricky one. And I'm glad I went with Luque because I felt like he was just the better striker. And I thought that's where the exchange was going to be won, was in, not in grappling, but standing. I thought that was the striking was going to be the biggest difference in this fight. But Michael Chiesa had him in a dangerous position.
Mm-hmm.
And Vicente Luque just took advantage of it and was able to reverse it. They got into a good scramble, and he was just able to get the job done. So kudos to Vicente for submitting a guy like Michael Chiesa. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, this fight was awesome while it lasted. Dude, I'm not down on Chiesa at all after that fight.
Me either.
Um, this is one of those, we talk about learning lessons, right? And we understand, like, when we like in the reviews to these fights, we understand that, like, not everybody learns from shit. If everybody learned from everything, they'd be a champ, you know?
Exactly.
But like, you just try and point out that hopefully these are the things that they take away as fighters that, they should look at. And Chiesa, like, this should be like a wake up to him that you're a big boy and you might be a fucking black belt and you might be a stud, right? Like a high level black belt.
Yeah.
Hey, but bro, black belts are everywhere
Yeah.
in this sport, and like, and hey, if you're a high level brown belt will fucking choke you out, will fucking submit you quicker than
And
shit.
there's some fucking little kid in the favelas in Brazil right now that would probably put you in a leg lock in 2 seconds.
Dude.
And
so like, and Chiesa, dude, look, Chiesa fought his fight, man. He just made a mistake, and that was a mistake that you can't make against another black belt.
Who's dangerous.
Who's super dangerous, man. And that darts was tight, and it was quick, and it was fucking dirty. It was a very nice.
Well, the thing is,
submission.
he almost reversed it, but then he couldn't roll anymore. And then it was like, well, at that point, you either go to sleep or you tap. So
yeah, that was a great fight while it lasted. I'm not mad at that fight at all.
No.
I hope that Chiesa,
hopefully down the line they're able to run it back. Like,
that's what I was getting ready to say. I hope Chiesa like gets a win. Maybe we'll see what Luque does, and then maybe we run it back after somebody gets a win.
For sure,
because that was a good fight.
Yeah, I agree. The co-main event, it was Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz, and you had picked Pedro in this fight. Trent and I picked Jose, and for me, all I really wanted to see was those leg kicks because he hadn't really utilized them at all, and he was able to utilize them in this fight. And his boxing looked really crisp. His jab was good. It just super quick. He still, even with depleting himself more and going to 135, he still has, you would never be able to really tell that he's, cut an additional 10 pounds to get down to bantamweight because he's still performing at a high level. So, yeah, he looked really good. Jose looked phenomenal. And I was just glad that, the bantamweight division, this is as deep as it is. I'm glad that it's still deep.
Yeah, dude, I picked Munoz just not because I believe that he was a better fighter, because I don't think any of us thought that.
No,
but it was just like, what kind of Jose Aldo are we getting?
Yeah.
Dude, look, Jose Aldo goes out there and gets a victory against a fucking good opponent, a dominant victory over a fucking good opponent. And the only thing that he did was throw leg kicks, and he didn't even throw them in abundance. He just used them,
Yeah.
Like he just strategically used them, and it makes all the difference in the world. So it blows my fucking mind that two assholes on the fucking internet that are making a fucking MMA show with 69 views and 15 videos can come out here and be like, hey man, why aren't you throwing leg kicks? And then he finally does it, and then here we are, like, Jose Aldo's, hey, he's back, It's like, hey, yeah, dude, all right.
I think that's what's frustrating is because I don't even remember him throwing leg kicks against Max, like in both of those fights with Max. I don't think or if he did, he didn't throw very many of them.
Yeah.
Those were like his most dangerous weapon, and he like rarely ever uses it.
They were the best. They were the best in the UFC, and it wasn't.
They're best in the WEC.
And it wasn't even close. Like Joe Rogan would tell, like, he would just, that's all he would talk about during a Jose fight is like, those knee kicks are fucking devastating.
Yeah.
And then you didn't see him for fucking 5 fights.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, hopefully, obviously I don't think he's gonna get a title shot anytime soon because he lost to Peter Yan, and I think Peter.
but 1 or 2 fights, bro, and he can find
Yeah.
himself back in it. It's like 1 or
I'd
2
love to
fights.
see him versus TJ.
Man. Ooh,
That'd be a fun fight.
that would be a very fun fight.
Or him versus Corey Sandhagen.
Dude, I can fuck with Jose Aldo and fucking and Dillashaw.
Dillashaw, yeah.
That won't happen, but I could fuck
No.
with that.
Yeah. All right. And then the main event was Derek Lewis in his hometown against Cyril Gahn. And this was the one pick that I made with my heart just because I love Black Beast and I thought
Same.
he would show out in Houston. And dude, he laid the biggest egg in his hometown. And like, I get it. Cyril Gahn is a phenomenal striker and he is very methodical. And he was doing all the right things that people don't do when they get too like emotionally invested with Derek. Derek clips
Yeah.
him and they want to keep going forward and like, okay, motherfucker, I'll knock you out. If you're going to try to knock me out, I'll knock you out. Cyril Gahn wasn't playing that. He was being, he was being cerebral. He was making sure that if he got into a dangerous position, he'd run out of that position.
Mm-hmm.
It was, kind of like when Alistair Overeem fought Stipe and was just fucking running away. Except eventually, Alistair got caught. But Cyril looked good. And his leg kicks were the key factor, as well as his straight, because he punched Derek in the eye, and Derek thought that he got poked in the eye. And it's like, nope, that was a knuckle that went directly into your orbital. And I mean, I don't really have anything to say because Derek Lewis, he even said on Embedded, like, we know he's gonna like the leg kicks. We know that's gonna be a big thing. Well, if you knew that was gonna be a big thing, why didn't you check one single fucking kick?
Yeah.
Like if you knew that was going to be a part of his game plan, then that should have been, that's kind of like Chris Weidman adjusted in that second fight with Anderson because he was getting his legs kicked to pieces in the first fight. So that's one thing that he said. Well, I utilized checks in that second fight because he kicked the shit out of my legs in the first fight. So obviously it sucks because it snapped Anderson's leg in half, but
look, man, there's no way around it. Big Derek Lewis fan here.
Yeah.
I don't know if the pressure got to him or what, but
I think so.
He looks so timid and like just so flat-footed.
And fucking throw.
And, hey, look, man, Cyril Gahn, count me in. I said it was going to take 2 wins for me in order to see if Cyril Gahn was real.
Yeah.
I think we seen that like
against Volkov and then
bro.
Yeah.
I was saying that a couple episodes we were having this conversation where nobody's going to touch Francis. And after that fight, I came away and I was like, yo,
I think
Cyril Gahn is big, dude.
Yeah.
Like when I was thinking of that fight, I was thinking Derek Lewis was going to be so much bigger. And yo, Cyril Gahn's a big motherfucker.
But he weighs in at like 245 because he's lean.
Yeah,
he's a lean heavyweight.
He's a big boy, dude.
I think he's like 6'4", 6'5".
Hey, after that, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, kudos to him. He looked fucking fantastic.
That's the thing that's so, but I mean, I think that Cyril should be the favorite going into that fight because, I mean, look what he did against the guy who's known for his devastating knockout power in Derek Lewis. He didn't even get put in a position where, that would be an issue. And Francis Ngannou can't have a fight that lasts longer than, I mean, his fight with Stipe, it went into the second round, but not very long into the second round. And Francis looked fantastic. I mean, his takedown defense looked fucking phenomenal. But
well, this is going to be one of those things again. We'll see if as much as I like Derek Lewis, like Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis is 2 different fucking animals.
Big time.
But the same type of fighter.
Yeah.
So if Cyril Gahn can weather that storm, then dude, he's got the cardio and he can pick the fucking shit up. He can pick his legs apart and he's big enough to do that and strong enough, but putting that together against Francis, who's so big and so strong and so solid. And he's good. He's a good fighter. Dude, from the time that we first saw Francis step in the fucking octagon to
I
now,
yeah,
it's so
it's like
crazy.
night and day difference.
Dude, bro, it's so crazy to
I
see
know.
how better how good he's gotten. So for me to say that Gon's gonna go in there and fucking embarrass him, I wouldn't say that. But
No.
I would say that Gon stands a chance for sure.
Yeah, I think Gon stands a better chance than anybody else in that division.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So, all right. Yeah, it only took us 2 weeks to finally fucking come back to it, but we got through our UFC 265 review, or post fight review. Another thing just before we start talking about the fights that are on Saturday. So we've got Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. That got announced. Let's see. Brunson versus Till is for sure happening. And Patty Pimblett is fighting. Patty the Batty is going to be fighting on that card.
Yeah, dude. Patty.
September 4th. Daniel Rodriguez stepped in for Kevin Lee because Sean Brady dropped out of that fight. So Daniel Rodriguez said fuck it, and he's stepping in. The what else is? Oh yeah, and then like I had messaged you guys, Thiago Santos versus Johnny Walker got announced. That is going to be one of the UFC Fight Nights in October. And then also on that fight, Misha Serkinov versus Christoph Jocko is going to be the co-main. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, there's going to be some good fight cards coming up. Next week is the Edson Barboza versus Giga Chikadze fight. Overall, that one is, I mean, the only other fights on that card that I'm really interested in are the Kevin Lee and Daniel Rodriguez fight.
Yeah.
Just because I really can't tell you anything else besides Gerald Mearshart is the one who fought Islam, or not Islam Makhachev, but
Yeah.
Khamzat Chimaev and got knocked the fuck out.
Yep.
So okay. I guess let's just go over the main card and we can make our picks. I'll be 100% honest. I didn't do a ton of research just because this isn't like a super stacked card.
Same.
So I was like, yeah, fuck it. I would say this though. God damn, got rhubarb crest stuck in my throat now. Brian Kelleher is fighting on the prelims, and I think I think he could be the dark horse on the fight card. I think he could have a stellar performance just because he's so explosive. So I would say pay attention to that fight. And then the first fight is Alexander Pantoja versus Brandon Royval. Alexander Pantoja has a win over the current flyweight champion, Brandon Moreno. And Brandon Royval is coming off of a TKO loss to Brandon Moreno in his last fight last November, before Moreno and Figueiredo fought a couple weeks later. That was Brandon's last fight. So I think he's bumped shoulders with a guy who's now the champ, the undisputed champ. And the last time that Alexander Pantoja fought Brandon Moreno was before Brandon Moreno became who he is now. I think it was prior to Brandon getting cut by the UFC. I'm gonna go with Brandon in this fight. I feel like his submission game is dangerous. I mean, he submitted Tim Elliott and he submitted Kai Kara France. And Tim Elliott is such an awkward style. If you can finish him, Mighty Mouse couldn't even finish him. So what does that tell you? And he put Mighty Mouse in arguably the most danger he's been in with that guillotine choke that he got him in. So
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Brandon in this fight, not because Alexander Pantoja has done anything wrong. I just feel like Brandon, even though his last fight he got KO'd or TKO'd by Moreno, he's still. I feel like he's more of a dangerous fighter, I guess. So I'm gonna go with him.
Okay. I'm gonna agree with you. I don't. He looks very solid, man, and I
Yeah,
like him a lot. I think you know what you're gonna get with what is it, Pantoja or Pantoja or
Pantoja.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alexander Pantoja.
I don't really know a lot about him. To be completely honest, I know he's legit. I haven't seen a lot of his fights, so I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one.
Okay. All right. Next fight. In the lightweight division, Vink Pichel versus Austin Hubbard. Um, I don't. I mean, Austin Hubbard is kind of one of those guys that since he came into the UFC, he's kind of, win one, lose one, win one, lose one, and he's coming off of a win. So I'm going to say in this fight he's going to lose because over his last 4 fights he's won one, lost one, won one, lost one. So
Yeah.
I don't have any like in-depth analysis on this fight. I'm just gonna go because Austin Hubbard has, he hasn't really been that consistent fighter yet. He's still got a ways to go. So I'm gonna go with Vink in this fight.
Agreed. I think Vic's just an all around better fighter. Styles make fights, and I'm not sure that Hubbard or this just matches up perfectly for him. Um, I think it is going to be close, but I'm going to go with Pichel as well.
Okay. All right. Next fight: Trevin Jones versus Sedyukub Kakramanov. And you already know how I feel about those guys that have the Russian, Dagestani, Uzbekistani, Kazakhstani last names. I almost always go with those guys just because they're a different breed. Trevin Jones is coming off of an impressive performance. He got a TKO in the second round against Mario Batista. But I think this is Kakramanov's first fight in the UFC, so I think he's going to be looking to set a precedent in this fight. So I'm gonna go with him and say that he's gonna just make all those Russian, Dagestani, wherever the fuck he's from, he's gonna make them proud.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know much about either of these fighters.
Neither do I. I'm just going with my gut on this one.
Yeah. To be honest, like Homeboy doesn't even have a photo on his Google UFC thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that Trevin Jones is gonna take this just from a strategical move from my standpoint. I'm gonna go with Trevin Jones.
Here's one thing I'll say. I'm gonna stick with my pick because I got nothing to lose. I'm way ahead of you. But Kakramanov is coming in on short notice because Trevin Jones was supposed to fight somebody else, but they fell out like last minute. So Kakramanov is stepping in short notice.
Got it.
So that could bode well for your pick because he he's had a full camp. So
yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. In the heavyweight division, Chase Sermon versus Parker Porter. Chase Sermon's coming off of a loss to Andrei Arlovsky, and that never looks good. Meanwhile, Parker Porter is coming off of a win against Josh Parisian. Oh, that was pretty recently too. So I got to go with Parker Porter in this fight. Because Chase Sermon, there's again, these two guys, I don't know anything about them other than just who they fought. if you're losing Andre Arlovsky this late into Andre's career, that's kind of an issue. Like, I mean, there's one thing to lose to like the crafty vet in like a game of pickup basketball. It's another thing when you're way younger than the guy and you can't. And, Andre went 3 rounds with them. It's not like Andre's got the greatest gas tank. So
Yeah.
I find that as an issue. Also, Josh Parisian is a really good fighter in the heavyweight division, and he's got a pretty solid record. And Parker stood and banged with him. I mean, they both kicked the shit out of each other. It looked like 164 significant strikes landed, or 164 strikes landed, 126 significant strikes, and he got a couple takedowns in that fight. So, I mean, hey, I'll go with Porter in this one.
I'm gonna go with Chase Sherman. Not because I think this is gonna be a banger or anything. I'm gonna go simply because of age and size. So Parker Porter's 3 inches shorter, but has 10 pounds or 15 pounds on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's 5 years younger, has 3 inches taller, and he's leaner with a 3-inch reach advantage. So I think that Sherman, if he shows up, dude, he can keep him at distance and he can outstrike him. And that's what I think that's what I hope picking this. I hope that's what he's going to do. Is just keep it at distance, pick him apart, and get out of there in 3 rounds.
Yeah. All right. In the co-main event, Clay Guida, the Carpenter, the guy who seems like no matter what, he'll never go away. We got Clay Guida fighting Mark Madsen. Mark Madsen, his last fight, he fought Austin Hubbard. In terms of like strikes, he didn't land very many strikes. He got a fuckload of takedowns though. I mean, he was like 75% on his takedowns almost. So that's pretty goddamn good. And I think I don't think this is going to be a super exciting fight. I think it's going to be Clay Guida doing what Clay Guida does. It's fucking lots of head bouncing and shit. And his hair is going to be flying. And, but I don't think
one flurry and over.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be like a super exciting fight. I think there's going to be a lot of grappling exchanges. Obviously Clay is a really good wrestler, but I think that Mark Madsen's probably going to get this done just because Clay's another one that just is too inconsistent,
Yeah. So paying my respects to Clay Guida because he's a bad motherfucker and one of the greatest gangster OGs of all time, severely underrated, like should be and is in my mind in the same aura and era as like Cowboy, just a Don motherfucker. I like that fucking dude a lot. Having said that, like, I mean, come on, man. Homeboy's 10-0 and looks fantastic. And this is, look, if you're Clay Guida, like, this is what makes Clay Guida dangerous. If Clay Guida knows who he is and where he is in the UFC hierarchy, he knows that he's the fucking gatekeeper.
Yeah.
He knows that he can get another fight with a young up and comer if he fucking beats old boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that earns you another fight as the gatekeeper,
Yeah.
So that's what makes him dangerous, but I don't see it being close and it should be pretty fucking dominant.
Yeah. So you're going Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing that stinks is, Mark Madsen's 10-0, but he's 36 years old. It's like, so he got a pretty late start,
Yeah.
But kudos to him. I mean, he made the UFC. So I guess, there's no telling. He could have been dealing with injuries or something. So his body might still be relatively young in terms of.
Well, I think he was a wrestler. He was an Olympian or some shit like that.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
So like he did the whole Olympic fucking route thing.
That's what kind of frustrates the fuck out of me. I wish Jordan Burroughs would fight, but he's trying to make the 2024 Olympic team. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, you should go try mixed martial arts. I think he'd be good.
Yeah.
But all right, the main event, Jared Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum. Jared Cannonier, his last fight, he lost to Robert Whitaker. Had a broken that was in Abu Dhabi. Got a broken orbital, broke his arm. Had to get surgery. Surgery was not a successful surgery, and he had to end up getting another one. And Kelvin Gastelum has only won one out of his last 5 fights, and that was against Ian Heinisch, who I think is like 13th or 14th.
Hey, I just got a call from my kids. Said call him ASAP. So
Okay.
I gotta. Can you finish this up, dude?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Do your thing. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Later, bro.
See ya. So for me, I think in this fight, I'm gonna go with Jared. Obviously, Kelvin's a much younger fighter, but I still think that they're both coming off losses to Robert. Kelvin went 5 rounds with Rob, and it's hard to look good against Whitaker unless you're Israel Adesanya or Yoel Romero. So I'm gonna go with Jared Cannonier in this fight. I feel like he's the more powerful striker, even though Kelvin has great boxing. So does Jared, and Jared has devastating kicks. So I think he's going to utilize that in this fight. So yeah, I'm going to go with Jared in this fight. I'm picking, we'll just start at the bottom of the list here. I'm going with Brandon, Vink, Pichel, Sadikub Kakramanov, Parker Porter, Mark Madsen, and Jared Cannonier. So if you guys had something different, or if you're voting for another fighter, or you're opposing Jeffrey or I, make sure to comment on our YouTube video or check out our podcast, which you can find on Anchor or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Breakercast or Pocket Breaker. There's all kinds of different podcast platforms that you can find us on. Make sure to download those podcasts. Give us a listen. If you are watching our YouTube videos, then please make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment on the videos, hit that notification bell so you can see when we go live. Obviously, it's been a little while since we've posted a video because, like I said, we had Jeffrey who was moving or helping people move, and then Trenton was dealing with technical difficulties. So hopefully from this moment going forward, we can start putting out more content, like more consistently, like we were doing before. That's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, and enjoy the fights this weekend. I'll talk to you guys later.